Hi all you lovely kings, queens, and in-betweens, my name is Elaine, and today I'm going to show you all how to make a Killer Geralf Visionary Stitcher Commander deck for roughly $45. Geralf is a mono blue commander. He costs 1 blue and 2 colorless mana to cast. He's a legendary 1/4 human wizard with the following abilities. Zombies you control have flying. He also has a paid tap ability. If you pay 1 blue mana, you could sacrifice another non-token creature to create an XX blue zombie creature token, where X is the sacrificed creature's toughness. Thus, your goal is to put as many tough creatures as you can on the field, so Geralf can work his magic and make them into flying undead beefy boys. While each creature is awaiting their turn to become part of the zombie collective, ideally you want to take advantage of their abilities, either when they first step onto the battlefield, or while the rest of your blue boys and zombie horde are busy beating up your enemies. An example of an ally you'd want to preserve on your side of the field is Havengul Runebinder, which costs 2 blue and 2 colorless mana to cast. He has a tap ability that costs 1 blue and 2 colorless mana to cast. It allows you to exile a creature card from your graveyard to create a 2/2 black zombie creature token, and then put a 1/1 counter on each zombie creature you control. This is great because it makes use of your graveyard and beefs up your zombie horde over time. Another example is Stormtide Leviathan. This beefy boy has Island Walk and makes it so all lands are islands in addition to their other types. Finally, he makes it so creatures without flying or Island Walk can't attack. This is perfect for a deck such as this because it will keep most opponents' creatures from being able to retaliate until he is removed from the field and allow you to walk all over them with the flying zombie boys Geralf is producing. Final example is Suspicious Bookcase. It's a defender with a paid tap ability. If you spend 3 colorless mana, you can make it so a target creature can't be blocked this turn. This is a lovely ability to cast on one of your mightiest creatures since it will allow you to dole out a lot of damage and severely weaken an enemy. An example of a useful creature when it is first played is Overcharged Amalgam. This bad boy has Flash, Flying, and Exploit. When Overcharged Amalgam exploits a creature, counter target spell, activated ability, or triggered ability. Naturally, this is pretty helpful if played at the opportune moment because it could help hamper the growth of an opponent's board or ruin their plans altogether. Another example is Profaner of the Dead. This is another creature with Exploit. When Profaner of the Dead exploits a creature, return to their owner's hands all creatures your opponents control with toughness less than the exploited creature's toughness. Since the majority of your creatures are tough guys, this card will often work as a board wipe or at least something that clears off a good portion of any opposing fields, making it easy for your zombie horde to swoop in and destroy everyone. The final example is Shield Wall Sentinel. This is another defender whom, upon entering the battlefield, allows you to search your library for a creature card with defender, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle. This is awesome because it allows you to retrieve a defender of choice. Thus, you can get something on the field if you haven't had luck with your draws, or a much needed effect from a card's abilities depending on the situation, etc. To expand your zombie horde at a faster rate, I've included cards like Cleaver Scab, which costs 1 blue mana and 3 colorless to cast. It has a tap ability that costs 3 colorless mana and allows you to sacrifice another zombie, creating 2 tokens that are copies of the sacrificed creature. Apparently, your zombie boys know mitosis now. The last creature-centric examples I want to give you involve cheap or otherwise ideal creatures to include in the deck, which will allow you to get the most out of Geralf's ability to turn things into zombies. Examples include Charix, the Raging Isle, Aegis Turtle, Glacial Wall, and Guardians of Meletus, which are all inexpensive in terms of mana cost, and are all fairly if not extremely tough given their cost, making them ideal zombie candidates. I've included 3 sorceries in this deck which serve to grow your board and steal creatures from opponents, and potential board wipes. The first is Spectral Deluge, which allows you to return each creature your opponents control with toughness X or less to its owner's hand, where X is the number of islands you control. This is awesome if you're in a tight spot because it could serve as a mini board wipe at the very least. Although not a sorcery but an instant, Perplexing Test is similar to Spectral Deluge in the sense that you get to choose one. Return all creature tokens to their owner's hands, or return all non-token creatures to their owner's hands. Since most of your creatures will have been transformed into tokens by Geralf, this is often a very good way of wiping enemy boards. Alternatively, if you have little to nothing on the field, you could choose whichever clears the most out of enemy fields to buy yourself some more time, etc. Next is Blue Sun's Twilight. This allows you to gain control of target creature with mana value X or less. If X is 5 or more, create a token that's a copy of that creature. This is a great way of getting rid of a frightening creature on an opposing field by making it your own. And if it's a really costly boy, then you get your own to stave off the enemy with. The final sorcery that appears in this deck is Hour of Eternity. When this card is cast, you exile X target creature cards from your graveyard. For each card exiled this way, create a token that's a copy of that card except it's a 4/4 black zombie. This is a great way to make use of your dead boys by turning them into undead boys that you can use to both block and attack, if not entirely overwhelm your enemies depending on the size of your graveyard. I've also included some counterspells like Arcane Denial, which could be swapped out for counterspell if you prefer, and Negate. The artifacts I've included make the cost of blue creature spells cheaper, reduces reduces the amount of enemy blockers, gives your creatures keywords, or otherwise makes them stronger. Kefnet's Monument makes it so blue creature spells you cast cost 1 less colorless mana to cast. Also, whenever you cast a creature spell, target creature an opponent controls doesn't untap during its controller's next untap step, making it much harder for them to block your attacks. Lightning Greaves gives equipped creature haste and shroud, while Swiftfoot Boots gives them hexproof and haste. Finally, Slagworm Armor gives the creature it's equipped to +0/+6. And finally, the enchantments serve a number of purposes. Favorable Winds, for example, gives your flying creatures +1/+1, beefing them up a bit, while Imprisoned in the Moon reduces an enemy creature to the equivalent of a waste. Witness Protection is similar, reducing an opposing creature to an ability less 1/1, while Retreat to Coralheim creates a landfall, allowing you to either tap or untap a target creature, either adding to your defenders or reducing potential enemy attackers. Or Scry, which makes it a bit easier to get the cards you've been looking for. Finally, Reconnaissance Mission allows for cycling in addition card draws, making it easier to acquire the things you need. In the interest of time, I won't mention all the other cards in this deck, which synergize with Geralf to destroy your enemies. Instead, I'll include a full deck list down below in the description so you can see what this deck has to offer for yourself. And there you have it, my deck tech for Geralf Visionary Stitcher. What did you think of my deck tech? Are you interested in Geralf, or do you have a Geralf deck already? What do you think of decks that revolve around token creation? Let me know down below in the comments. I always like to know what you kings, queens, and in-betweens think. And if you like what you saw here today, please smash that like button until it's blue. Subscribe, ring that bell so you'll always know what's up, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Bye guys!
Hi, Tisha Valenza, aka Poison Ivy, and you've just been watching King's Entertainment Reviews. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and watch.